Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make soakers. For today I'm going to do a set with, this is actually my own design of fabric. It's called the Rachel Plaid, and you can get it on my Spoonflower shop. And I'm just using a pink terry cloth with that. I've cut them to the dimensions I want. See the blog entry for information on measurements. So what I'm doing is I'm placing the right side of the print fabric up and the side that has the less fuzzies on it down. If you have an obvious right and wrong side to your terry cloth, you'd put the right side down. So that's the side that you want in against your skates. So I'm going to show you how to do this with and without a serger. I'll start with a serger first. I'm not big on pinning stuff because I tend to pin myself just as much as the fabric. So I do this freehand. You can pin it together if you want. But usually this fabric sticks together enough that it's not a big deal. So I'm going to set it to a 3/4 stitch on a neutral differential feed. That's the word I'm looking for. And what I'm doing is I've got a wide, like not a wide elastic, but like 1/2 inch or so elastic. And I'm lining that up on the side. Going to get the first few stitches in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this as hard as I can and hold it there. Don't pull it any harder as you're sewing. So get to the end of your length of stretch and then stop the machine and stretch again. And what you're going to do is sew this right on the edge. So you're lining everything up on the side. Moving a bit, and this isn't something that you need to keep perfect. If it moves on the edge a little bit, it's fine. So again, pull it as hard as you can, like to the end of the stretch. So you've got something that looks like this. And you're going up the other side. And now this is going to have a tendency to pull the terry cloth this way, so you're going to want to fuss to get the edge actually lined up again. And you're going to do the exact same thing. Sew it, flatten it out, stretch as hard as the elastic will go. Stop, line it all up, stretch again. So then that's what you've got right now. At this point we're done with the serger. So you just go in and flip it right side out. So it's starting to take shape. So that's how you do the main part there with the serger. I'm going to show you how to do the main part with not with the serger. And then I'll come back to this. So for this, because it's fussier and it doesn't go as fast, I tend to sew it a straight seam first. So it's just a straight seam with a medium length. And I'm really rough with my cutting because I usually use my serger for this, so excuse the mess. Now terry cloth tends to stretch and warp as it goes, so don't worry. So this is the first side. I just use the edge of the presser foot as my seam allowance, basically. So once I've got that, I switch it to wide zigzag. It's a little bit long. And I grab the elastic. And I'm basically doing the same thing I did with the serger. So I'm doing a couple stitches in, stretching it as hard as it goes. So I'm zigzagging it so that you can't really see where the seam is, but this is going to be to the outside of the seam. So as you can see, it's not quite as quick as the serger goes, but it definitely gives you the same product. And the thing with these is they're not under a ton of stress when they're on the skate, and you don't really subject them to a whole lot of anything, so it's not going to be a durability issue to not have a serger. So again, stretch it, and you stretch it as far as it goes, and then don't stretch it anymore as you, like, don't mess with the stretches you saw. It's easier if you hold it like this. It's one of those times I wish I had like 4 hands. So I'm switching that over to a straight stitch, that's what I'm going to use next. Trimming the threads. And folding it right side out again. Now you can do this next part with a serger. I prefer doing it with a sewing machine just for control. And it's a lot of thickness to go through a serger, and I'm really paranoid about that because sergers cost a fortune to fix. And I'm rough on machines. So what you do is you fold it now so it's tight around the edge like that, and your seam is right on the outside. You line them up like this, stretch it, you make sure everything's all lined up here. You are going to have some overage, that's fine. You just want to make sure you've got everything sandwiched together. Put it in your machine. Sometimes it gives a little fuss at first because it's a lot of thickness. Assembly line it, and I'll do the next one the same way. So you fold up the insides, stretch it out. I'll trim this edge, so I just trim it to clean it up a little bit, make sure the extra threads are out of there. A nice clean edge. And just went ahead and sewed all the other seams the same way and trimmed them so they're nice and neat. So you got 2 like this. I've set the machine up with a wide zigzag. And I'm just cleaning up the edge by doing this. Let's trim the threads. I'll get the other side. Just flip them so they're print side out. So you have it, a pair of soakers. So as I mentioned, this is the Rachel plaid. It's named after my friend Rachel in Minneapolis. If you have an iPhone and you're not the type of person to be mean to repair people, she has a business of her own where she goes and repairs iPhones, and it's called Shatterbuggy. So if you're in Minneapolis and you have an iPhone, you should look her up. This is one of my fabrics from Spoon Print, as I mentioned. I've got a ton of different plaids and different skating designs and all kinds of things, so you should definitely check that out. But yep, there is a pair of soakers.